Welcome back to Crystal Water Tarot. Welcome to anyone new. This is going to be another yes or no reading, and basically just kind of what you may need to hear at this time. So nothing really specific, but just kind of messages that you just may need to hear. So we're going to have the three piles, and with those piles we're going to have the pendulums. So for card 1, we have the sustainer with the amethyst. For card 2 or pile 2, we have the ocean with the rainbow moonstone. And with card 3, we have the prayer with the rose quartz. So take your time. More than one pile may call to you. There may be more than one pile that has messages. Take your time and then we'll get started. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to those who chose card number 1 and the sustainer and the amethyst stone. Again, we are looking at messages or something that you need to hear at this time. Not quite really sure where this is going or how this is going to turn out, but this is a yes or no. But again, we're looking at messages that just need to come through. So again, this is the sustainer, and the stone is amethyst, which is a healing stone. And the sustainer, it talks about like the qualities of like generosity, supportive. Someone, I look at that as reliable. But on the flip side of it, it also talks about someone that may be overworked or who works a lot. Because of what they do, they also may be resentful because of what they are, of what they have to do. They also may be feeling trapped in their situation because of because of the situation that they find themselves in. They may also feel themselves tired, and that's where the healing stone may be being a part of this. With this card, I see a lot of purple, which to me relates to the stone itself. I also, with this card, see the two hands. So I see these two hands also creating, putting something together, maybe holding something together. So holding something together so something doesn't fall apart. Maybe keeping a relationship together, keeping a family together. Maybe holding something together so something doesn't fall apart. This could also mean maybe you or someone in your family is in a situation where maybe they feel like they're just holding themselves together because of something that they're going through, and they're really just trying to hold on tight. So this just kind of says a lot to me. And with these two hands, there's like this hole here, and I'm sort of now seeing like there's a face there, and it seems like a very tired face. So it's just, again, and that's where I'm going with being tired, being healing, taking a break. So, and as we look at the tarot cards, I see the devil, and that's what we're starting off with. And the devil talks about, in the reverse, it talks about breaking free of those chains, breaking free of possible unhealthy attachments, things that maybe if you have obsessions. Now this may be yourself, this may be somebody else around you, maybe a family member, whatever that case may be, but just kind of breaking away from them. And in this card here, we have like the shadow side of this card. We have this person, and then we have like the shadow witch. And this to me is kind of like your shadow self. We have this person here, and this could be the person that somebody sees every day. They're the person that they present to themselves. And this could be that unhealthy side. And that could be we see this as being like the witch side. And that could be that shadow side that no one sees, the unhealthy side. So, And maybe that's what you're trying to break free from, or somebody's trying to break free from, and maybe you're trying to help them. And so, and maybe in that, doing that, that is where you're getting tired. Maybe somebody may be going through something and you're helping them and you're getting tired. And maybe they're going through it, and that may be where maybe you feel trapped because you can't let go. Judgment in reverse. Maybe you're trying to... Judgment in reverse talks about you're trying to get away from something that's changing major in your life. It also can talk about separation. Trying to trying to make an outcome come the way that you want it. And you're pushing for that outcome, or maybe somebody's trying to make an outcome come the way that they want it, and it's really not letting it come on its own. So that again is just where that whole resentment on here can come. And I feel like you may be supportive of it, someone may be supporting you, but there can be that resentment. So I feel like whatever this is, there's something definitely emotional going on, and that's just a really quick look, just at looking at the cards initially, because what I'm also seeing is I'm seeing a lot of cans, and the cans represent cups and stuff, and I see a lot of, I see like the 10 of cups, I see the Ace of Cups, I see the 2 of Cups, and so for me that means that there's a lot of emotions going on. And then I see the Justice card, so and I see like the Emperor, so I see that there's strong support, there's strength here, there's the willingness to help, but I also see that there's that sense of love here. So this is definitely some type of relationship. It could be a family, a friend, a partner, but it's definitely something going on where someone is supporting someone. This could be you supporting someone, this could be them supporting you. The resentment could be going either way. You could be feeling trapped in this situation, they could be feeling trapped, but there's definitely something going on. So now we've got the Ace of Cups in reverse. The Ace of Cups, that's what we were just talking about as far as that emotional sensitivity. There's a lot of, people just may not be, they just don't have, they just feel like they've given all they could give. They just feel like, there's some sadness. There may be a sense of loss because of where you were. You once were very, very happy. You once had that, there was a lot of love. There was a lot of family support at one point in time. But now with the 4 of Spears, which is the 4 of Swords, it's like they're worn out. Someone feels very beaten down. It's like, kind of that feeling of, when is this going to end? How do we keep on going? So it's getting there. It's tiresome. Then we have the 2 of Cups in reverse. 2 of Cups talks about separation, imbalance, breakups. But whatever this is, I feel like nobody wants to give up on this. There's people, it's not that easy. It's like it's avoiding a breakup. It's like you just don't want to give up on whatever this relationship is. If this is a friendship, you just don't want to walk away from it. If you're having the issues, whoever this person is trying to help you, they don't want to give up on you. If you're trying to help somebody else, you don't want to give up on this person, whoever this person is. There's that sense of love. There is that sense of you just want to give that support. But in the same sense, I feel that you're tired or they're tired. The sense of being trapped, I'm not really getting that so much. It's more of, it's that you just don't want to give up on this person, or they don't want to give up on you, but they're getting tired. They just don't know how to help, or you don't know how to help. Then we've got the Emperor. It's the power, the control. And it's kind of like, you've got him sitting there and he's got that paintbrush and he's got his paint and he's got, the pitchfork and he's ready to go to town and do the work, but just don't know how. Just don't know how to get there. And he might be a little bit tired, or you might be a little bit tired. And it's just like, where do I start? How do I start? And that's where I think the question is how do we get back to where we were before this whole situation started? And that's what I think, whatever the situation is I think that it's trying to get back to where you were or where they were before this situation happened. How do we get back to the beginning? Where can we go from here? So then we have the Five of Bricks, which is the Five of Pentacles in reverse. And the Five of Pentacles in reverse is unable to find help. Situation worsens. Surviving on the barest, the barest minimum. And I think that's where you're trying to find that you're not sure where to go from here, or they're not sure to where to go from here. And I think that the situation's getting worse. And what I'm sensing is I think it may have to get worse before it's going to get better, which doesn't help anybody. But sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. You have to see the bottom before you know to get to the top. And, it's kind of like once you hit the bottom, there's no place to go. So you have to start climbing back out again. And I think that sometimes with relationships, you have to maybe separate and then realize what life may be like without each other. And then you realize, it's not so great. The grass may not always be greener on the other side. How can we work this out? And that might be. But I'm just really sensing that, you may look at, how do you pull this back together? What do we need to pull this back together? How do I help this person? Or that person may be looking at it, how do they help you? What do you need to survive? What is the littlest thing we can do, or what's the littlest thing we can do to get things back on track again? What's that first step? And that's kind of what I'm getting with the Five of Pentacles in reverse. Then the Justice card. The Justice card, talks about deliberation, finding that fairness. And, finding the fairness. In this one here, I kind of think that of course we know this card here with the house falling on the witch. Is there something that's causing this? Is there something that needs to be stopped? That needs to be stopped for justice? Is it a habit? Is it a situation that maybe somebody needs to be taken out of? Is there something that needs to be, sadly enough, the house falls on the witch in these cards because it's the Wizard of Oz. But is there something that needs to be corrected to help fix this situation? And that's kind of what I'm getting with the Justice card. It doesn't always, it usually talks about fairness, law and order, deliberation. How do you guys need to talk? Maybe getting counseling, maybe talking to somebody who may know more. Is that somehow going to help the situation? So, maybe just taking a break, maybe talking to someone who maybe have gone through whatever this is, reaching out for services, something like that. Again, whatever the situation is. And again, this could be anything. But sometimes the first step is always the hardest. And this may be very specific to certain situations. So, and again, going back to, and it may take time to rest and to heal. So that's kind of what I'm getting as an overall with these beginning messages, is just to, what's really going on. Is it taking time, maybe finding somebody to talk to, maybe kind of determining where do we start. And as I mentioned here with the with the Five of Bricks or the Five of Pentacles in reverse, again, things may have to hit the bottom before we can come back. And maybe just finding that little tidbit that may help just start to bring things back. Just that, that little piece. And it just may be, that planting the seed to get you back. But again, I do feel like this could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a partner, but it definitely is some type of a relationship. And I feel like somebody's helping somebody else, and it's just trying to get through something. So let's get some more tarot cards to get a little bit more information on the situation. And again, we have the Justice card, we have the Chariot, we have the Nine of Pentacles, we have the King of Cups, we have the Four of Swords again, we have the Three of Wands, and we have the Star card. So, with the Justice card, as I mentioned before, I feel like with this card here, it's going to be talking. And with this, unlike the last Justice card where, you had the house on the witch, this one here, we have somebody, and we have her blindfolded. And I think maybe with this card, what's coming through is maybe taking off the blindfold, seeing what's going on, realizing what's going on, and maybe opening up, maybe discussing, maybe be opening to new ideas, maybe be opening to realizing that there's an issue. Maybe just realizing that there are two sides to every story. So if somebody's going through something and you're thinking it's one way, maybe listening to their side of it. And even if you're the person going through something, maybe listening to the other person who may be reaching out, attempting to help you, offering some type of support, maybe listening to their side of it, listening to what they're going through. If they're attempting to help you, sometimes when people are trying to help others, it's not always that easy. Sometimes when you're trying to provide support to somebody, that person that's going through it, it's tough, it's hard on them. But people that also offer support to others, people don't stop and realize that when you're offering to support to somebody, you're going through it, you're watching them. It is draining on them as well. It is draining to watch somebody that you love, want to help, go through something. It's tiresome. It takes so much out of you because you can't control. You just can't do anything unless they're willing to be helped, if that is the case. With the Chariot here, I feel like there's movement forward. I feel like that there's going to be some type of give, that there's going to be some type of just, one, there's going to be determination on the person who is there to provide that support. They're not going to give up. They're going to keep talking. They're not willing to walk away yet. They're going to just keep trying to move forward. So that's what I feel on this here. With the Nine of Pentacles, it's being, that talks about, when it's in reverse, it's like loss in finance, being dependent on others, feeling isolated. I feel like whoever's going through this, whoever is the person or persons going through the actual issue, they feel isolated. They feel, that they may feel lost. But I feel the person that's trying to provide them support is going to be there. They want to be there for that person. So they may feel isolated, but it's with this other person being there, they also may feel that they may be like dependent on somebody, that they may feel less. They may feel like they are bothersome, but they're not. The person that's providing that support, they are willing to be there for that person. So that whole being dependent on others, that's just for this moment in time. That can change if they open up, if they talk, if they're willing to listen, if they're willing to, just communicate. Then we've got the King of Cups. With the King of Cups, for me, that talks about the person who is offering this support, which can be you or the other person, whoever. I feel that person is coming in and they're offering stability. They're offering that compassion. And I feel like if both can talk, I believe that it doesn't matter who in this instance. I believe both parties can offer each other compassion. Because if you talk and you listen, if you just listen to the other's side of the story, if you just listen to what you both are going through, because when you're helping somebody, as I said earlier, when you're trying to help somebody go through something, you go through it with them. You may not be experiencing what they experience, but you're still going through it with them. It's not easy to watch someone that you love go through something that's very difficult. So you can offer compassion both ways. And I feel like you both can take off your mask, you can cry together, you can laugh together, you can take off that mask, and you can offer that compassion. That can go both ways. With the Four of Swords in reverse, again, you're going to be worn down. You both are going to get, you both can get beaten down with this. This, whatever the situation is, I feel it's not easy. I feel that it's tough. It's going to be drawn out, but you're going to go through it together. You're going to go through it with somebody that I feel really wants to support you, or I feel that you want to support another. So I'm not really sure if it's you or if you're trying to support another, but either way, I feel like you're going to go through this and it's going to get tiresome. But again, it's there. You can make this. With the Three of Wands, I feel like in reverse, I feel like there may be some setbacks. You may take a step back and you may move forward. Either way, I feel like, you may have your good days and you may have your bad days going through whatever the situation is. But with the Star card at the end of it, that Star card gives me the hope that you can make it through. That at the end of this situation, I feel like whatever this relationship is, it's going to be stronger in the end. That whatever this relationship is, because you have gone through this together, you're going to build a greater bond if both parties agree, if both parties are willing to do that. So I feel like this can be a yes, but it will depend on both parties. It'll depend on what your choices are and what the other person's choices are going through this situation. So for me, this is a yes. But with that being said, it will depend on the choices that both parties or persons make as you move through this situation. But with the Star card at the end, it does give me hope that at the end of the day, after you get through whatever the situation is, regardless of who's going through the situation and who's doing the supporting, that you're going to have a stronger bond at the end. But again, we all have free will and we all have conscience. We all can make our own choices. This tarot is just a snapshot of what I see. And it all depends on the choices that we make. So depending on the choices that you and the other person make will depend on how it turns out. But what I see is it does have the potential to turn out to be a positive ending. And that is why I'm going to say this is going to be a yes. So let's get some more. Then we have Morganic, which is nurture self, love, and compassion. Embrace your heart's desires. So again, self-love, compassion. We've talked about compassion. Compassion for yourself and compassion for others. It is so important. Become aware. Listen to the wisdom of your body. As we were talking about healing. If you're going through something, even if you're supporting somebody, if you're getting tired, listen to your body. If your body's telling you to take a break, take a break. If you need to step back, as I mentioned with the Three of Wands in reverse, step back. You may need to step back to take a break. That's understandable. Seek guidance in this. It is time for a different perspective. Maybe as you go through this, maybe you do need to seek some guidance. Maybe you do need to seek some help. Maybe if you progress, maybe if you take that step back, maybe whatever the situation is, maybe you do need to look out elsewhere for help. Maybe you do need to talk to somebody to get a different outlook, a different point of view. There's nothing wrong with that. So that can be for the person going through it, or that can be the person that is offering the help. Sacred pool. Is there something, for the sacred pool and the water and stuff, that water again goes back to the cups for me, the water card. And this sacred space, is there a sacred space where you both feel safe? Is there some space where you both enjoyed? That could be a place where you can start the healing. Solitude. Again, this person may feel that they are alone. That's where the solitude is. They may feel like they're in this tower and there's no way to get out. And that's where you might be that ladder that helps them come back down. Destiny. It is not in the stars, but in yourself. It's with that, whether it be you or it be this other person, however this is, but we can help write our own destiny. We have free will and we can make our choices. Morning star, keep shining even when others have quit. If you are the person supporting this person and that person's ready to give up, don't give up on them. Find a way to keep them going, because you can be that shining star for them. You can be that hope star. Take charge. Don't wait for the stars to align. Reach up and arrange them the way you want. Again, with that destiny card. And as I said, this is a yes, but you need to take charge. You need to make this the way you want it to turn out. Whether it be you or the person that's going through this, or the person, if you're going through this and the person helping, however this is, you can take charge. You can make this be the outcome that you want it to be. Let's get a couple of runes. So the first one is we have the runes of signs and messages. You might see some signs. You might be seeing some messages. Look around. Are you seeing like butterflies? Are you seeing different numbers? Things that would mean something to you. Then we have the rune of self. Think about it. When you stop and you think, if you're helping somebody, what qualities do you see in this person that you see in yourself? And if you're the person that's going through something, think about the good things that you offer people. You offer people so many positive things. And so just look at what you're going through and keep in mind, you're going to get through it. And then we have the rune of defense. And with that one there, if you're the person that's going through something and you have somebody that's trying to offer you support, are your defenses up so that that person can't get in? And the question I would then ask is, are you willing to let your defenses down just a little bit to maybe let that person in, to maybe offer some kind of assistance? So this is what I have for you. I hope it was some kind of help. Would love to hear how you're doing. And again, I hope all is well. And this is, again, going to be a yes. Thank you for joining Crystal Water Tarot. I hope you join me again. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to Crystal Water Tarot, and to anyone new and those who chose card or pile number 2. Basically, we are asking, this is a yes or no, and we're asking, what do I need to hear, or what messages do you need to hear when you find this reading? And so we have the Rainbow Moonstone and we have the Ocean card. And the Rainbow Moonstone talks about intuition. It talks about emotion. And it talks about new beginnings. So that's kind of here. And the Ocean card kind of gives the messages of big dreams. What are you dreaming? What are your dreams? What are you looking to find? Discoveries. It also, on the flip side of that, it talks about basically like pollutants, unpredictability. That's kind of like the negative, not necessarily the negative, but kind of the flip side of the coin. And when I look at this card, I see like to me that's something's covering the sun. And then when you look into the water, the water's kind of dark, yet you still see the sun trying to come through. You still see something trying to shine. And with this covering the sun, it kind of reminds me of like an eclipse happening. Something's trying to block the sun from shining. So that's kind of what I'm getting. Is there something that's blocking you from having you do what you want to do? Is something blocking your intuition? Is something making you second guess what you believe you want, what you want to do, how you want to do something? Is something blocking you in some aspect? So that's kind of what I'm getting. So we start off with the tarot cards we have the Kinder is the Lover's card. And the Lover's card does talk about choices. It does talk about love. It does talk about partnerships. It talks about unions and that sort of thing. And this is in the upright. So we are talking about choices. And in this aspect, it could be a relationship. It could be a relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean a partnership in the romantic set. It could be a friendship, a family. It could be that type of aspect. But I feel like it can also be, because I kind of went off with this being choices and something blocking you, and your dreams and discovering. I'm thinking that this also does have to do with something about your choice. So this could be a choice in a relationship that you want to do, that sort of thing as well. And then with the Judgment card we have next, the Judgment card is a rite of something awakening. And it does, again, something, a final verdict, something that, people may be judging you on, which again, you might be afraid of what people may be thinking. You might really be focusing on what are people going to think if I make this choice, that sort of thing. And then we have the Two of Cans, which is the Two of Cups. Again, we go back to that union, that partnership, relationships, and commitment. So that's where, again, I'm really thinking this has something to do with choices and partnerships, but it may not necessarily have to do with a romantic partnership. It could be friendships. You could have just met this person and right now you're just starting off as friends, co-workers, whatever the case may be. And you may be trying to help somebody, because we do have her helping this person, and they may be questioning why are you spending time with this person? Why are you trying to help them? And so, and you're just like, what's the big deal? And even going back to this Judgment, you have the fairy godmother here kind of standing there, with her magic wand, doing her thing. And you've got the little dog, and you're kind of looking up here, and I'm just kind of thinking, dreaming, what if I could do that? What if I could play that musical instrument? So that's where I'm kind of getting, what would people think of me? So that's where I'm kind of getting the Judging card. And again, that's where I'm also thinking here with the helping somebody. That's where I'm really thinking, are you afraid of people are going to judge you for doing something? And then you have this like little monkey person kind of watching over it. Yeah, it is like an angel type character. But again, are you afraid that maybe people, family members, other friends, are they going to be, looking at you about the relationship, this friendship? So again, really going back to wondering how are they going to, Or if this is something that you want to do, how are your friends going to judge you on this? How are your friends going to, maybe this is something that you want to do. Maybe you're creating something. Maybe you're looking to do something different in your work. Maybe you're looking to do something totally different. Maybe something that you were doing as a hobby that you're looking to do to maybe take further. And maybe you're afraid that people are going to judge you on that. And again, this dream that you had to maybe take it further. Again, wondering. Then we have the Ace of Bricks. With the Ace of Bricks, we talk about, investments. We talk about commitments, possible rewards, job offers, that sort of thing. That's more of a material type thing. That's the kind of the way that I look at it. You're going to get something from it, and it's not emotional. It's something that you can touch, some type of a gain and some type of a resource. So what I'm feeling with this one is that somebody's willing to come in and help you. Somebody's willing, whatever this is, somebody's willing to back you up. Somebody's willing to back you up and sit there and say, yeah, I've got if this is something that you want to create, something you want to do, I feel like somebody's going to come in and say, hey, maybe we can be partners. Maybe I can bring something to the table and help you. So then we come down here and we have the Seven of Brooms. The Seven of Brooms is the Seven of Wands. Now, with the Seven of Wands here that talks about standing your ground, not giving up. So a couple of different things I'm feeling with this card here is if this is like a relationship or friendship or something, I feel like don't give up on that. Don't give up on it. If people are questioning why you're being friends with this person or why you're looking at this, stand your ground. You may have to explain. You may have to kind of do battle a little bit. You may do some explaining, but stand your ground. And sometimes we do have to explain. Sometimes we do have to kind of go that route. But if you really believe in this, then it will be worth it. But on the other hand of it, I feel like with this person coming in, I also feel like you may have to stand your ground because this person who's coming in to offer something, with the 10 of Bricks being right after that and in reverse, I feel like they may try to take over a little bit. They may, even though they may be somebody that's willing to offer, they may also try to kind of turn you a little bit to kind of go their way. Maybe you have this dream that's your dream and it's a good dream, but they may try to make it so that they maneuver it so that they kind of bend it to in their direction rather than the direction that you want it to go in. So I'm feeling like they may kind of try to take over a little bit. So that is where I feel like the 10 of Bricks, which is the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, is that you may lose some of that security. You may lose some of that, and with that, it's sort of the dream that you had, that dream of what you wanted to create, may just kind of come down and you lose it. So then we have the 2 of Brooms in reverse, which is again the 2 of Wands in reverse. And with that, I feel if that is the case and this person comes in and they kind of make it go that way, I feel like you get frustrated, which causes some delays in this. You kind of lose hope on getting to where you want to be. You kind of hope is that you kind of focus on, this is what I wanted to create. This is what I wanted. And I'm not really getting it. It's not going the way I wanted it to go. This really isn't my dream. My dream was to do this. And, my dream maybe wasn't to become a millionaire and to do all of this. My dream was just to create this wonderful thing. And here we are going down this road. So I feel like that's kind of where we are with that. Then we have the High Priestess in reverse. And what I feel with that is that you kind of lost listening to yourself. You kind of lost listening to what you wanted, to what your intuition, what your gut was telling you. And that kind of where you kind of lost maybe not wholly standing your ground. when this person came in and they offered you this, they offered you the resources, whatever that may be, you sort of just kind of maybe were able to be shifted a little bit, which necessarily is not always a bad thing. You listened to that person and they had some great ideas, but your focus turned to be what they were focused on and not what you were focused on. And so with with this here, with the 10 of bricks, the 10 of pentacles in reverse, you got lost in that. So then I feel like with the high priestess, you finally listened. And with the 10, and then we have the 7 of spears, which is the 7 of swords, I feel like you finally realized what it was, because the 7 of swords talks about apologies, lost items then returned, getting ripped off basically. And I feel like you feel like, I had this is what I wanted, this is where I wanted to go, and you kind of steered, I kind of went where you wanted to go, and in the end I lost what I wanted. And I feel like this person is coming back, and somehow you're able to acknowledge this. They're able to acknowledge this because you're not happy. You're not in a place where you want to be. And I feel like this person comes back and you both acknowledge that. And you both acknowledge that this isn't where you planned. This isn't what you wanted. And I feel like there are apologies. There is something there that you both agree on. So that's kind of where I feel like with the creative thing, that this kind of goes around, but something comes back around where you both acknowledge that. If this is going back to, if this is a relationship, a friendship, that sort of thing, you have to explain a lot. I feel like, again, with this whole insecurity thing, with the whole, the loss, there is going to be, you may question whether or not this friendship is worth it, this relationship is worth it. With this here, you may feel like the people around you are, if they're right or not. Is this person really, are they doubting? You may question your intuition, and you may wonder, but I feel like, again, even in this situation, whoever this friend is, whoever this person is, I feel like the people who are doubting this person, they're going to come back, and this person is going to show them that they were worth you having some faith in. So, but again, it's all going to come to whether or not you stand your ground, whether or not you are able to, hold your own. So that's kind of where I'm getting with this. But it's really going to start with, it's coming on to something that you want to do, or a relationship. People may question it. People may back you, and then, may try to take control. But it's going to really come with you standing your ground. And I feel like if this is a project, or if this is something that you're trying to create, something you're trying to do, you may get turned around a little bit. But I feel like in the end, whatever this is, it's gonna get turned around, but it may take some time. So then we have the 10 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, the High Priestess again, the 7 of Wands, the 7 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the 10 of Pentacles in reverse again, the 5 of Swords, the 9 of Cups, the 8 of Cups, and the Queen of Wands. What I found interesting is here we have before I start with these cards, is that we have the High Priestess in reverse again, and this time we have the 7 of Swords not in reverse, just like we have the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. So what I found interesting is we have a couple of the cards that we had in the first initial tarot come back around again. So with the 10 of Swords, I feel like the end. The worst is over. You've sort of hit the end. You kind of had this turning point with the Seven of Swords in reverse. You kind of acknowledged that, yeah, you weren't where you wanted to be. You kind of finished up. You've acknowledged it. This person or people, whatever the situation is, has acknowledged that, you're not happy. You may not be happy with the way that people are treating you. You're not happy. Sorry about that. My dog started barking. So you're not happy with the way that they may have treated this person, or you're not happy with whatever, if you're trying to create something or if you're trying to do something and somebody's trying to help you, you are not happy with the way that was turning out either. So with the Ten of Swords, I feel like that is ending. That is, you've overcome that. And that is, you basically hit the rock bottom. You've kind of gone as far as you can. You've acknowledged it. Now you're starting to move in a different direction. You're starting to recuperate. You're starting to move ahead. You're getting ready to move forward. We've got the Ten of Wands, which normally in the upright is the burden, responsibility. But I feel like now that stress that you were under, that was a heavy load to carry, you've gotten it off. You've expressed yourself, you've let it go, you're moving forward. With the High Priestess in reverse, again, I feel like you're questioning it. You're questioning, what if this happens again? You're questioning, you've learned not to ignore your gut, but you're also questioning, what if I do this again? What happens if what happens if I doubt myself again? And with the Seven of Swords, I feel like you're moving to a better place in one aspect. But I also feel that take off the mask. Don't lie to yourself. You have this ability. You can trust yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Don't, with the Eight of Swords, put fear in yourself that's not needed. Don't restrict yourself. Don't put yourself into a corner. Don't make it so that you doubt yourself with these Eight Swords. Because right now that's kind of every move I feel with her, with the way that she's just kind of setting in a corner, and she's just like, with every decision that's coming, she's like doubting it. She's overthinking it. It's like, should I move this way? What happens if? Should I move that way? What happens if? If this person comes into my life, are they going to do that to me? And sometimes you just got to trust your gut feeling. Sometimes you just have to believe in that intuition that you may be doubting. Yes, it could happen again. There's no doubt about that. But we also have to move on. We also have to live our lives. We also have to have the belief in ourselves that we're going to be able to know people. We have to learn from our mistakes, and we have to be able to move on. With the Ten of Swords with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, could the world come crashing down? Yep, it can. It can happen. It happens to everybody. Can it happen twice in a lifetime? Yes. Right now, do you feel insecure? Yes, because you've gone through something. Does it take time to rebuild it? Yes, it does. But with the Five of Swords, you have, I feel, in some aspects, you have been betrayed in some shape, form, or fashion. This person, it may not have been a large betrayal. It may not have been something, but I feel you have been, may have had some negative energy by people maybe questioning your judgment about this person. You may have had some people doing things aggressively to have outcomes in their way. I do feel that if you wanted to do something and having people maybe try to do that. But I also want to say that there is some satisfaction because you now can turn things in your direction. You now have the opportunity to make this go the way you want it to go. So you do have that opportunity to, with the Nine of Cups, make it come around so you can get that satisfaction, make it so you've been around the aggressive people. With the 9 of Cups, you can get that satisfaction to make your dreams come true. You can come and have your wishes fulfilled. You can make whatever you wanted. If this is a friendship that you want to build, you can make that friendship happen. You can, with the people who are around you were maybe negative about this person, or the person who tried to make, if you were trying to create something, build something, whatever, and they were trying to make it go in their direction, you've taken it back. You've got their apology, you're starting over, you're going again. You can bring it in your direction. So you have that. Then we've got the 8 of Cups in reverse right after that. Second chances, returning second chances. You have a couple of choices right now. You can sit right there and you can just live with the 8 of Swords, refusing to move forward, or you can move forward and continue on. You can take the second chance and you can, one, move forward. And the Queen of Wands talks about independent people. It talks about living to the fullest. It talks about being confident. So right now, you have the opportunity to take this friendship, make it what you want it to be, if you so choose. If you want to go in and fulfill your dreams and do what you want to do, and if this is something you're creating, something you want to do, whatever it is, you can be an independent person and you can live life to the fullest and do what you want to do. We have free choice. We have free conscience. Again, you can do what you want to do. You can have that confidence. You can also maybe take off the mask and be who you want to be. That is your choice. But keeping in mind, that is up to you. You can stay where you are right now and just sit here and be restrictive, and just sit there and keep questioning constantly, which if that's the case, you're never going to get any place. Or you can choose to take a second chance, move forward, and maybe even if this is with friends that you're questioning, maybe give them a second chance, but maybe set boundaries. Maybe just kind of say, what you said, what you did kind of hurt me. And if this is somebody that you depended on because they were helping you, maybe make it so that you're not so dependent on them. Maybe find a way that if you want to move something forward, how can I do it so that I am not so dependent? So that maybe if they say, well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't. How do you not have to be so dependent on them? How do you have it if they walked away tomorrow? How could you still be okay? How would your world not stop? How would you not be able to keep going with your dream? So for me, this is going to be a maybe. This can go either way. It's going to depend on what you choose to do, how you choose to sit, and what direction you choose to go in. This is going to be a maybe for me. So let's get some oracle cards. So for your stone card, we have blue lace agate. Find calm and peace. Let your voice express your truth. So maybe letting people know how you feel, rather than just kind of keeping it within you. Maybe then sometimes finding that person that you can truly trust and talk to and letting them know what you're going through. Letting them know how you feel. Letting them know that you don't know which direction to go in. Card 11, do what you need to do. It may be difficult, but now is the time. And again, now is the time. It's not necessarily now is the time when you find this reading, but now is the time when you feel comfortable to make it happen. Now is the time when you feel safe, you feel ready, you feel prepared, you feel in the right place. Sometimes, it's when I do these readings, it's easy for me to say you should do this, but you may not be in a place where you can. You may not have that ability right at that moment. You need to do what's right for you when it's right for you. Pull yourself, card 27, pull yourself close. Every part of your being is deserving of love. That is so true. Sometimes if people question you and they may say, why do you love that person, or why do you like that person, or why are you trying to do that? You depend on me and blah, blah. you deserve love. And if that person makes you feel like you don't, then that person doesn't deserve you. Card 32, set boundaries. Claim your power and know your value today. That's where we were going with the dependence card with the Queen of Wands. When you go back, and we were talking about with the apologies and stuff on the Seven of Swords in reverse, and you go back and, you've acknowledged that, and these people, if they've acknowledged what they've done and that sort of thing, and you've talked, set boundaries. Maybe if they are criticizing what you're trying to do, or they criticize who you have friends with, maybe set boundaries with them. Explain to them how they've hurt you. Explain to them that, this may be a different type of a friend. Not all your friends need to be the same. Not if you want to do something, you don't necessarily need their approval to do something that you feel is right for you. Slow and steady, card number 12. Maybe, again, as I said earlier, maybe now is not the time. Just because you find this reading and it's a messages that you need to hear, these are messages that you may need to hear right now, but the action steps may need to be slow and steady, one step at a time. That may be what you need. Talisman, card 49. And for me, a talisman is maybe something that you hold dear, something assigned for you, something that you have faith in. Eternity, give yourself permission to slow down. Don't feel like if you're trying to do something that you need to get it done immediately. And again, as I mentioned, slow and steady. The Sun, rise to the occasion. Again, rise to the occasion as it meets you. Again, you don't need to do things on your own terms as they need. Thrive. There's enough space for the moon and her stars not to tear each other down. And this kind of goes with, if people are criticizing you or judging you for your friends, that may be different than your norm. If people are making comments that are maybe negative about what you're trying to do, don't let them tear you down. Don't let them make you doubt yourself if this is the case. That's not cool. That's not okay. Outer space. Take time to heal, grow, and expand. And that could, again, go with expand your types of friends that you have. Grow on what you try to do. That is all over there. We're going to get a couple of ruins. So we have the ruin of constraint. And that I'm just kind of saying kind of takes me back to the Eight of Swords. Don't constrain yourself just to keep doubting yourself or keep questioning. Open it up a little bit. Let yourself, with the gateway, open up to some new ideas. Open up to letting yourself not holding back so much. Don't doubt yourself so much. Initiation. Start new. Let yourself be. Try something new is what I'm thinking. And then we have the Warrior. And the Warrior, for me, tells me stand up for something which you believe in. And that kind of goes with the Seven of Brooms, which is stand your ground. Be committed. And if this is something that you truly believe in, whether it's something you're trying to do, something you're trying to start, or a friendship that you believe in, be committed to that. But again, this is going to be on your own terms, on your own time frame, not based on this reading, not based on this own thing. And again, this stone, we're with this card, we're talking about dreams and discovery, and also unpredictability. So an ignition and emotions and new beginnings. This friendship could be something that you haven't even started yet. It could be something that you're going to be, a new beginning, same as what you want to do. So again, this is going to be a maybe, and take your time. This is, again, on your own terms and on your own time. I hope this is helpful. I hope someone finds this useful. Please join me again and let me know how it's going. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to Crystal Water Tarot, and to those who chose card number 3. You chose the prayer and the rose quartz pendulum. The rose quartz pendulum for me and is like love, innocence, but really just love and new beginnings and that sort of thing. The prayer card talks about offerings of service, to be of service. Of course, the prayer itself is asking for guidance, to the spirits, and if you believe in God, to God, and, the power almighty, whoever you may believe in. On the flip side of it, it also sometimes, on the other side of the coin, it can be expecting results. Maybe thinking you are entitled for some reason. And that's kind of what and then there's like this little egg, maybe expecting that you're entitled to the pot of gold for some reason. But I'm also seeing this hand, and that hand again in the way that we pray, and it can be maybe offering a helping hand, in that whole idea of being of service to somebody, helping somebody, and everything. So, and I'm just also seeing, like, when I look at this card, it reminds me of angel wings, and the sun and everything. And again, this rose quartz, this color here, pink, also does remind me of rose quartz. And with the watercolor blue, it also just reminds me of the cups card, which talks about love and that sort of thing. So let's go on here. So with these cards here, I'm kind of getting some messages that people may be experiencing a tough time right now, maybe be going through something, or will be going something, or may have already gone through something. Because the questions that we are asking right now is, what messages do you need to hear right now? Or what messages do I need to hear? Keeping in mind that these messages may not really be right at this moment, or what may prepare you for what's to come. So it's kind of, that's what's coming to me right now. So this may be messages that's going to prepare you for something that you may not have already gone through. It may be something that you may be getting ready to experience, or maybe somebody that might be coming into your world may be bringing this kind of personality to you if you're not the one that's experiencing it. So with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, we talk about no movement. We talk about your luck's not really going your way. Things that were going really positive all of a sudden take a turn for the worse. And we all go through some bad times in our lives. And it can be a variety of things. It can be the loss of a loved one. That's that's love. It's traumatic. It could be a finance. It could be the loss of somebody leaving our life, not necessarily permanently. It might not be because of a death. It could just be because they move away, or it's just time for them to leave our lives. They're moving on to something different. So that's turn for the worse. Something really, I feel something dramatic happens. Or you're stuck in a place, or someone that comes into your life, or it's currently they seem to kind of can't move forward for some reason. They really are just in a place where maybe you're the person that's offering help, offering your services. You're willing to stand beside them, and they seem to can't get out of their way. Then we have the King of Cups in reverse, and that card there talks about the potential for possible addiction. And when we talk about addiction, we always assume it's something to do with a substance, and that's not always my belief. I also can see this as we can be addicted to things. We can be addicted to shopping. We can be addicted to money. We can be addicted to work. Sometimes we work so much that we tire ourselves out, and it's always, I got to get that next thing done. I got to get that next thing done. You can sit at home and you don't take a break because I've got to get this cleaned. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And so it's that constant, got to get that done. And it also can refer to, emotional immaturity. You don't know how to handle things. So if things take a turn for the worse, if something happens, you may not know how to handle it because maybe you've never been through it before. So emotional immaturity, which is also talks about the King of Cups or King of Cans, same thing, in reverse, you may not, because, it may also talk about love and that sort of thing, but that emotional immaturity may be because you've never experienced it before, or that person that you are trying to help may have never experienced it before. So if you've never gone through something, how do you know how to handle it? How do you know if you don't talk to others? You don't know. So then we get to the Chariot in reverse, and that just kind of, your life is in a chaos. So if things have just gotten worse, you don't know how to handle it, or you're in this world, of course your life is going to be in balance. You don't know how to handle it. Your world is turned upside down. You just don't know where to go. And then we've got the Nine of Brooms, which is the Nine of Wands. You may be defensive. You may feel like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. So whether you are the person going through this, or you're going to be going through this, or you're trying to help anybody, I can only imagine what you or this person is going through. You're gonna feel defensive. You're gonna feel like your world is in a constant uproar. How can you not? And so, my thoughts and prayers are with you or with them. And if you're trying to help them, my thoughts and prayers are with you. Because how can you not feel like you're being a victim? Because why are you going through this? Why you? And sad to say, we all go through these things in our life. We all have to at some point in time. So you may not be going through this right now. You may have already gone through this, but we've all gone through it, and we just go through it at different stages of our lives. Sad to say, but I do believe that what we go through does make us stronger, does help us survive. But again, I believe that we also do need to reach out to those people that we believe in, those people that we know we can count on as well. Then we have the Four of Brooms, which is the Four of Wands in reverse. And sometimes after we've gone through this, sometimes I believe that it's hard. We struggle. We have a hard time finding that peace, but I believe we can. I believe we have the Kinder card, which is the Lover's card. And in this one here, the Four of Wands also talks about broken homes, canceled plans. But I really believe in the reading that I'm reading right now, I really believe it's meaning to be a struggle to find peace, a struggle to find that balance from the chaos, from the feelings of defense that we're going through right now. And with the Kinder, I really feel like that talks about, I'm going to pause this video for one moment. Sorry about that, my dogs were barking. So as I was saying, I don't believe that this is a relationship card of that sort. I feel like this message that I need to provide is you or someone's going to be going through something where the message is that at some point you're going to need to find peace, and it's going to be a tough time. It's going to be a tough road. But I feel with the Four of Wands, you're going to struggle to find peace. And you're going to go through, we all go through stages as we go through these struggles. And I feel like how you get through it is going to be, again, the Kinder card is the Lover's card, but I feel like it's going to depend on the choices that you make on how you get through this chaos. I believe that during this time, you're going to need to truly love yourself. And if you are helping somebody else, you're going to truly need to show love for that person. You're going to need to really inspire that person. And it's not always, sometimes it's easier said than done. And I can, if this person does have an addiction, it is not an easy task to sit there and say, get over it. It is not easy, and it's not easy to sit here and say, oh, just go help them, because that's not the case. It is tiresome. The person who helps that person go through this, it is extremely draining. It makes your life chaos too. It's not easy. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it is. But the choices that you make, whatever role you're in, it's going to depend on your choices on how you get through this. The Hermit in reverse, that does talk about isolation, loneliness, disconnecting from others and self. You really need to reach out. So if you're the person going through this, you need to reach out to somebody. You can't just sit alone. You need to reach out to somebody. You need to find that connection with another human being. You need to find that connection with that person that you can talk to, that person that you may be able to relate with. If this is a loss, something. If this has to do with an addiction of any sort, talk to somebody. You may find it in some sort of religion, some sort of practice. You may find it in a best friend. Sometimes we feel like, people, our families always say, well, you can count on me. Sometimes talking to your family is not the easiest thing in the world. But a lot of the times your family is there to support you, but sometimes they don't always understand. So sometimes reaching out to those outside your family might be helpful. But again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not any of that, I'm not licensed to do any of that. But again, sometimes you may need to seek help, whether you are the person going through it or you are the person helping somebody. Sometimes talking to a group, sometimes talking to someone outside does help. Then we have the Nine of Cups in reverse, and this talks about overindulgence. Gifts come with a price. Again, that's where overindulging in something, and that's where I really feel this has to do with a situation of some sort of an addiction, some sort of a habit, whether it be now, the future, the past, whether it be yourself or somebody else. You may go through something that starts something. They may go through a loss of some sort that creates some sort of addiction. Sometimes we go through a traumatic experience. We lose somebody, we lose something, and that starts a habit that we would have never expected to have been created. So that can take us down a path that we would have never expected ever going down through. Then we have the five of spears, which is the Five of Swords, which talks about backstabbing and slander and violence and stuff like that. And people around you, and I'm not really getting a whole lot of, I'm more sensing people talking, that sort of thing. And I just feel like, people, when people talk and, they've gone through this, and they see people down on their luck, and they see people having a really hard time, and, did you hear about so-and-so, and did you hear about this? Sometimes I feel like it's easier to focus on somebody else going through a bad time than looking in your own backyard. And they live in this fantasy world that would never happen to me. I would never do something like that. But then I feel like if you stop and you take a look in your own backyard, what's in your own backyard? So when I look at, like, hearing people backstab or talk about others, it's like, take a step back and look in your own yard. See what you've been through. Look at that. And that's where I see the prayer card of expecting results, thinking that you deserve it. Well, that's where this Five of Spears cards comes to me, is, when you're talking about somebody else, or when you're putting them down because they may have an addiction to something, or they may be down on their luck. What makes you so almighty? What makes you so great? Why do you think that this could never happen to you when it could? It's just right now you may not be going through something, but again, we all go through. You can have $1 million, but that doesn't mean you're not going to go through tough times in your life. We all do. You're not invincible. You know, the only one in my world would be invincible would be the Almighty, and that is it. So that's where that kind of comes to me on that one. So then we have the Six of Swords, and we have the Devil in reverse, and the Six of Swords in reverse. We have the Fool in reverse. We have the Magician. We have the Three of Pentacles. We have the Nine of Wands, this time in the upright. We have the Page of Swords. We have the High Priestess in reverse. We have the Queen of Swords, and this time we have the Wheel of Fortune upright. So with the Six of Swords in reverse, I feel like sometimes you or this person, whatever your roles may be, you, they, both may feel like there's no way out. Sometimes when you're going through tough times, you may feel like whatever the situation is, there's no way out for you. This is never going to end. This is like, if this was the Wheel of Fortune going around, there's no way off this wheel. There's no way off this treadmill. I feel like there is. With the Devil, there is, we talk about in reverse, this unhealthy attachment, this obsession. Temptations lead to disaster. But in reverse, it also talks about breaking free from this. There is that ability to break free. There is a way out. You, them, whoever, needs to take that first step. You need to realize that right now you're fear-bound with the Fool. You need to realize that whoever this is, if you're trying to help this person, right now they fear the unknown. They fear what's going to happen tomorrow. They don't know how to get off this treadmill, possibly. They don't know the only way, if they're a shopaholic, they don't know what's going to happen if they stop shopping. They don't know if they're not shopping, what do they do? What do they do with their free time? If they're a workaholic, they may fear that if they're not working, they're not going to have that income. If they're not cleaning, they may fear what people might talk about them, what they might say if somebody comes in and they see that there's dirt on their floor. So it's that fear card. So that's what they're at. But then we have the Magician. Focus, power. They have the power if they so choose. Again, this is going to be their choice. If you're the person that's going through something, you have the power. You have the choice. It may not be today. It may not be when you find this reading. It may not be tomorrow. But you have the power. That power is not in this tarot reading. That power is not me saying we all have free choice, conscious, and free will. That is not that choice. Sometimes that choice may not be until next week. It may not be for a year from now. But you have that choice. That person has that choice. They have to find the will. They have to find it within themselves to take that first step. That's not watching a tarot reading by any means. They need to take that first step. What this message is it's letting them know that they do have that ability. They can do it. They can do it if they so choose, but they need to believe in themselves. Then we have the Three of Pentacles. That is recognizing that working with others, to maybe beat whatever they're going through, to overcome whatever they're going through. If this is you or this is somebody else that you're helping, there are other people out there that provide services to whatever, that are willing to help. You just need to ask. You need to ask if you're going through this. They need to ask if they need help. There are people out there that can help for so many things. Google it. Look it up. Make a phone call. Whatever. Ask your family. Ask a friend that you hold dear. Whatever the case may be. But there are people out there to help. Then we have the Nine of Wands. And this time, it's not in reverse. This time, it is upright. And that talks about defense, self-protection, believing in the self. I don't feel, you may need to defend yourself. Or if you're helping this person, you may need to defend that person. And that is fine. If people are talking about that person, you may need to defend them. Hey, back off. Let them be. Give them a break. Or that person that's going to be in this one, they may need to believe in themselves. Sometimes we need to protect ourselves from ourselves. We need to look in the mirror and we need to say, we're worth living. We're worth protecting. I love myself. I'm okay. And that sometimes we need to protect ourselves from ourselves. And you may need to let that person know they're worth it. They're worth breathing the next day. They're worth not being isolated. They're worth fighting for. Then we have the Page of Swords. And with the Page of Swords, again, constructive criticism. You may need to say, hey, you need to get dressed. Hey, is that, if it's an addiction that can hurt them, if it's any addictions, maybe not healthy. You can exercise constantly. And people turn around, I exercise every day. And if even over-exercising can be bad for you. And I know that sounds really silly. But again, if it becomes to the point where it's an addictive behavior, that can be even a bad thing. So again, letting people know in a nice, positive way, sometimes constructive criticism, and you can let somebody know that in a positive way. Yeah, you look really good, but have you ever thought about taking a break? Because sometimes maybe doing something overly might not be so great for you, or maybe if we did it in a different way. So, and again, what this little boy here or girl with that sword is, again, goes back to you're worth fighting for. So again, if this person has an addictive behavior that is not healthy, again, it comes back to talking to them. Because sometimes if you tell somebody, hey, what you're doing all the time isn't healthy, that can be very upsetting to them. And they're going to turn around and they're going to go back to the Nine of Wands and they're going to get defensive. But letting somebody know that you're worth fighting for, and maybe, if you're doing that, what about trying this for a change? Would you mind doing that with me? And if you're the person having these issues, if your friend's telling you this or your family's telling you this, why are they doing it? Are they doing it to be negative? Listen to their words. Or do they just care about you and they don't want to lose you? The High Priestess in reverse. Are you ignoring? Is something inside you telling you this isn't right? And this could be in regards to this person. Are they acting funny? Are there certain signs that are triggering you that, something's not right? If you're the one that's going through this, is something telling you that it's not right? Watch the behavior. Watch your own behavior. That's all. Not really any big red flags. The Queen of Swords. Use logic, use reasoning. And this one here, the Queen of Swords, is somebody that stands alone. If you're going through something, you don't have to stand alone. You can ask for help. You can look for somebody to help you. Again, there are people out there, there are resources out there. If this is something that you're going through, I really believe you have family, you have friends. And if you don't, there are other people out there that you can call for help. And if you're helping somebody with this, providing service to somebody, ask for guidance. So regardless of whatever your situation is, you don't have to go it alone. Even though there's the Queen of Swords sitting there, use logic. You got logic. Use logic. Use reasoning. And if you're helping somebody, use reasoning with that. Use logic with it if you need to help them. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Divine timing. And as I mentioned before, nothing lasts forever. You do have the ability to turn this around. You do have the ability with the choices to turn this around. But it's going to depend on your choice. It's going to depend on whether or not how this person, how you make this happen. And I want to say this is a yes because of the Wheel of Fortune having been starting up in reverse and ending in a positive here. But I really want to call it a yes but with calling it a yes, it's really going to depend on the person, on what they make their choices on, because this could also be a maybe. But I'm going to call it a yes because of the way the Wheel of Fortune is ending. Because it's going to depend on your choices. It's going to depend on the choices of the person going through this. It's going to depend on their timing. It's going to depend on the choices they choose to make going through this situation, on what they determine they need to do, and how this all plays out. Because again, we do have free choice. We do have free will. And it's going to depend on every choice they make, on what they choose. Do they choose to give this up? Do they choose to ask for help? So for me, this is going to be a yes, but it could easily be flipped over to a no, depending on how this person chooses to move forward. On how, whether or not if you're the person helping them, do you choose to walk away? So, but for me, this reading is going to be a yes. So let's get some oracle cards. Finding turquoise, finding balance and healing. Let your spirit soar. So for that one here, this person here that's going through this, and if you're helping them, you need to help them find their spirit. You need to help them if they're going through that chaos and they're right now things are down. You need to help them, show them, or you need to find your spirit, find that inner spirit, and let it soar. Find something that they once had that made them really want to experience life, live. 33, speak to yourself with kindness. Become aware of how you speak to yourself. And we kind of went over that a little bit, where making yourself or making them feel that they're worth something, making yourself feel that you're worth something. And if you're the person helping them, understand that when you're going through this, you're going to get tired. And speak kindly to yourself. If you see that this person's still, you're getting tired, you're getting run down, know that, speak to yourself with kindness. If you're feeling like what I'm doing isn't helping, be kind to yourself. This path that you may be going down is not an easy one if you're helping somebody who has an addiction. You may be feeling like everything I try to do is just it's not an easy path to walk. And if you're the person that's going down this, who is going through this, and you're just like, I'm just giving up on life, whatever. I can't give up. I can't get off this treadmill because this will happen. Speak kindly to yourself. Know that, because you're worth fighting for. And then we have 38. You are enough. You don't have to give anymore. And again, you're enough. No matter what role you're playing in this situation, you are enough. And you need to really understand that. If you are helping that person, you're enough. You're there. You're standing beside this person. If you're the person that's going through this, you're enough of who you are. So if you work constantly and that's the issue, you're giving all you can, and you need to take a break. You need to get off this. You can't work all the time. It's not healthy. And if you have an addiction to something else, look at what it's doing to you. Step back. Listen to the person that's trying to help you. Seek help. Then we have 25. Listen. Your inner child has something to say. This is where we have the intuition card in reverse. Are you listening to your gut in either role? Are you listening to what your gut is telling you? It might be time to take a break and listen. Then we have card 34, spark. We spoke about a spark someplace in one of these cards. And we need to find that spark to bring you back. That spark of hope, because that spark of hope is there, and you need to find it. The wishing well, card 48. What are you wishing for? What do you want at the end of this? What are you praying for? What is it? Is it to this the end? What do you want? What are you praying for? Sacred pool. What do you find sacred? What at the end of all of this, what do you hold so dear that would be worth? Again, what are you wishing for? It could be for this to be over with. But what do you find so sacred that would be worth giving this all up? That would be worth giving up if you work all the time? What do you hold so dear that would just make this up? That would just make it so worth it. Evolve. The cosmos potential flows through you. Life flows through you, whether it be hope flows through you. And this may be the person that's helping. That hope, you could be holding that hope. You could be holding that for this person. So think about that. As far as the person going through this, the potential to change, you hold that as well. Morning star, keep shining even when others have quit. So even when you are like ready to give up, no matter what role you play, even if people have walked away from you or this person, you don't quit. Keep fighting. You can do it. Thrive. There's enough space for the moon and the stars not to tear each other down. And again, when we spoke about the people talking about each other, why do you have to talk? Why do people have to talk bad about each other? Why do people have to put others down? Really? Is it really necessary when somebody's going through a tough time to talk bad about them? Why? It's not necessary. It's not necessary to send those bad vibes out into the world. It's really not necessary. And does it make you feel better? Does it make it feel like your world is so much better? Because it really doesn't. And so when you hear people saying things about you, if you're going through this, don't pay attention. Don't let their negativity put you down, because that doesn't help. And when it happens, it's not helping them, really. It's boosting them up for a moment in time just to help their own ego, and that is it. And that, to me, it's just, they're expecting something out of it. They're expecting people to say, oh, you're right. You're so lucky. Well, you're really not, because the only thing you're doing is putting somebody else down. And how does that really help you in the long run? Let's go ahead and get some ruin. So we have defense. You may need to let your defenses down for somebody to come in and help you. And sometimes when people are maybe saying something to you, it's not necessarily negative. Sometimes when people are trying to give us feedback, some people are trying to help us, we think that they're doing it in a negative way, and we put our defenses up. Sometimes we do need to, but I think that if the right people are doing it, if people are trying to come in and help us, we need to put our defenses down just a little bit. Disruption, I think right now, or there's going to be a time where your world is going to be a little bit disruptive, whether you're trying to help somebody or you're going to go through something. Again, we all go through these times, and it's going to happen. And again, we might, when we're going through that disruption, we might turn to something that may not be healthy for us. We may start doing things that would be out of the ordinary. You may have somebody in your life that goes through something that is out of the ordinary and may not be healthy for them. And they may not accept it. They may get a little bit defensive about it, and they may need your help. Partnership. This may be somebody that you have a relationship with. This may be somebody that you're in business with, a friendship. That can be so many different things. Protection. You may feel the need to protect yourself. And if you're helping somebody, by all means, protect yourself. Make sure that you take time out. Make sure that you protect yourself, that you take your time out, that you don't end up doing what they're doing. And trust me, sometimes we can be pulled down that rabbit hole. And constraint. Sometimes it is so easy, and this is going to be on both sides. Sometimes when we get through a bad time and we feel like, oh yeah, I got this, I'm not doing this anymore. We really need to pull in that constraint, and we really need to hold ourselves back, because we're like, we've got this, we're not doing this anymore. I'm never going to do this again. we really have to hold that constraint in, and we have to hold ourselves to be accountable. And sometimes that constraint is so difficult. But on the other side of the coin, sometimes when we're helping somebody, we really have to find constraint in not judging them. Saying, why are you doing this? Why do you keep doing the same thing over again? Why are you keep working? If we are in a partnership with someone and we're partners and we have a family together, whatever the case may be, why do you keep working all the time? Maybe it's finding that constraint not to judge them so quickly. Are they going through something that you may not know anything about? If they are a good friend and they're going through something, if they're shopping, if they're, if they are using a substance, if they are doing something that is not normal, don't judge them so quickly. That constraint to quickly judge, hold that in, and not saying, well, you just need to stop it. You should be able to. Hold that constraint in for not judging so quickly. Again, this is going to be a yes, but it will depend on the decisions and actions that both sides take. This can happen now. This can be happening, something that you or them go through in the future. This could have already happened. But again, this is going to be on free will. And again, you can be going through this right now, and it's not taking the time to, as you go through these, it may be, if you're going through this, you may not be ready to ask for help. You may not be ready for those steps. This is going to be doing this at your own time. You find this reading, like I mentioned earlier, this reading isn't the be-all answer. This is just seeing what I see as a reader. But you have to do it when the timing is right for you. This is just a message of possibilities. But again, you have to do it when it feels right and it is right for you. I hope this helps somebody. Thank you for watching. Again, please comment, and I hope all goes well, and my prayers are with you. Thank you.